how we say everybody hates Chris, but I'm sure everybody is hating Jonas right now. So we all know that Jonas was too much, but I have a question for you. Did Joyce, Essie, Matifa, Lindani have a role to play in this too? This was far beyond just Jonas and his foolishness. There was deception, there was manipulation, there was making excuses, blaming others, and a whole bunch of broken homes. And it's wild because I have been looking at the comment section on other videos, and people, especially those that are in South Africa, have been saying, man, I know people like this in real life. I know men, women, and families who are going through this for real. And that had me shooketh. What we learned from The Polygamist on Netflix is that what's done in the dark always comes to light every single time. You can only get away with stuff for so long because at some point other people are going to start to see your foolishness, but also too, God is going to see your foolishness as well. It is never okay to treat people the way that Jonas was treating all of these different women. Clearly, he had his own individual issues. And if you have not watched the other video that I have done on The Polygamist, specifically talking about Jonas and what I think his mental health diagnosis is, you need to check that video out right here. He was doing so much more than just having his own individual trauma, but he was creating all of these broken homes. If you really think about it, every single wife, every single girlfriend, whatever he had going on, they all had their own individual issues. All of the kids were traumatized because they were physically, emotionally, and verbally abused. Even though all of the kids had their own individual issues with their parents, I felt sorry for Sarah. To have to see your father create a completely different family who is doing well for themselves, that are in the limelight, all of these different things, and you just have to sit on the backside and just watch all of this occur, and nobody knows that that's your dad. Nobody knows, and you don't even get to have a relationship with him because he has this other family that he has to keep up this facade about. To think about it, this is how generational curses and generational cycles and generational patterns get passed down from one generation to the next. It's all because there's one person and their actions that impacts many. And I'm talking about for generations to come, because look how Menzie turned up at the end of this. He was out there doing the same and very similar things that his dad was doing, which was not okay. And I truly saw so much guilt and shame and neglect and abandonment that was transpiring throughout all of their lives. This isn't to make an excuse for Jonas, because like I said, I broke him down in another video, but he also had his own childhood trauma. Remember when him and Essie, when they did the flashback to how he grew up, and he was always talking about how he grew up very poor, and that I believe it was his father who had an alcohol addiction. I don't remember what happened with his mom. It seemed like she wasn't present either. So he also had a lot of childhood trauma, which is why he's probably doing the things that he was doing, because he didn't get what he needed from his primary caregivers. What he got at the end, I'm not saying he had it coming, but he had it coming. This is why payback and revenge is a real thing. Sometimes we think, oh, you're just supposed to forgive people and let it go, but not everybody operates that way. And clearly Joyce did not come to play. She sought revenge, she sought the ultimate payback, and it was at the cost of his life. Truly, like I mentioned before, what you do has consequences. And there are some people who will forever take measures into their own hands. I'm not saying what Joyce did was right, because if you haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil it for you. But at the same time, the very thing that he did throughout his whole life, all of his sexual sins, was the thing that took him out. He didn't have the self-control. He didn't have the self-esteem. He didn't have the ability to say, no, I'm doing too much here. This is I'm ruining people's lives. Let me slow down. Let me chill out. Let me pull back. He didn't have that wherewithal. And it was also like he just didn't have the empathy, right? Or the compassion to understand how his actions was impacting others. Ultimately, his own sexual sin, the thing that he wanted so bad from every single woman, unprotected, was the thing that took him up out of here. Even though there's people who are all about that payback and that revenge, and there will always be people like that, there's also people who operate from a place of forgiveness. You know, his daughter sitting down with him and saying, you know what, sir? After all you have done to me, after all you have put my family through, I forgive you. And that was huge. Now, just because you forgive somebody don't mean you get to forget, or you forget the things that they've done. And you can, if you're willing, and if both parties are willing to put in the work, to rebuild that relationship. Now, I don't know if he's worthy of all of the relationships being rebuilt, but for some reason they love that man down, okay? As a random side note, in my personal opinion, I thought The Polygamist was a 20 out of 10, okay? I highly recommend this. It had me locked in from episode 1, okay? I mean, I was on the edge of my seat because every single episode, all 22 of them, had a plot twist after a plot twist. And I haven't seen a show this good in a very long time. Now, this is just my personal preference, and I'm not trying to be shady, but every single woman, every single person in this show had the body yaddy yaddy, okay? I mean, everybody's body was tea, okay? It was so apparent, but them wigs, there was some people's wig that I was like, okay, I'm gonna stall you out. But then there was others that I was like, now y'all know y'all could have done better with the placement of these wigs, okay? Like, this is crazy. Please get better wigs. Please. So one thing that really pissed me off, and I don't know if it's just the therapist in me in regards to confidentiality and ethics and legality, was that doctor. That doctor was telling all of the business. He was spreading people's information. He wasn't keeping confidentiality. Like, his license should have been taken away from him. Much information as he was spreading about other people. That's not okay. Find another doctor. I'm not gonna hold you. I want more. I don't know if there's gonna be another season. I don't know what needs to happen, but I want more. Let's go to season 2, baby.